So this is the second class of equity valuation under the SFM Dawn series. And in the first class we did some boring topics, especially the Alker model and economic value added. One wrong sum, remember? So first class was short. It was on EVA and Alker model. Both are very, very important. And the second class I will devote to the discussion of certain sums on dividend discount model. Now dividend discount model is something that you don't require any preparation, do you? Because what do we do in DDM? We forecast the future dividend and we pull them back at the required rate of return, and that is the intrinsic value of the share. Maybe it's a no growth firm, so intrinsic value is EPS divided by RE. Maybe it's a constant growth firm, so value of the share is D1 divided by RE minus G, where G is perhaps B into R, or G is the CAGR of the past earnings. We can have multiple growth DDM, in which case you have supernormal growth followed by normal growth. That supernormal to normal can be in one shot or can be with a transition. So these are the different types of sums that are there. Over the past 50-70 years, ICAI has given a number of sums on DDM, and when they give a number of sums, they have made a number of mistakes also. Anyways, we got to adapt to their mistakes. See, the advantage lies not in being a perfectionist, but the advantage lies in being a smart person who tries to exploit the inefficiencies rather than complain of the same. Let's hope that is happening with you. You are growing in smartness. You are laughing away at the kiddishness of ICAI and trying to maneuver as to what to do when ICAI has done some mistakes. Okay? Maybe I am trying to speak out my own frustration. Let's move ahead with it. So I will take you to the sums category. Just 1 second. Yeah. So these are the sums. So in the sums category, we have the first sum is question number 4, which is DDM and bonus issue. DDM and bonus issue. Now this sum was also in our book. It must have been done in class, I'm sure. Okay. Let's look at the sum. Mr. A is thinking of buying shares at 500 each, having face value of 100. Expecting a bonus ratio at the ratio of 1:5 during the 4th year. So during the 4th year, not end of the 4th year, you will get bonus 1:5. That means if you bought 5 shares, you will get 1 share bonus. Let's assume we bought 1 share, so we get 0.2 shares as bonus. So we get 1.2 shares, assuming fractional shares allowed. Okay, 1.2 shares. So for the first year we have 1 share, for the second year we have 1 share, for the third year we have 1 share, but for the 4th year we have 1.2 shares. Okay. Annual expected dividend is 20%. You know, dividend rate is applied on the face value. So it's 20 rupees for the first year, second year, third year. But the same rate is expected to be maintained on the expanded capital base. From the 4th year you have 1.2 shares. So we have 1.2 into 20, 24. So dividend for the first year 20, second year 20, third year 20, but 4th year 24. Okay, 5th year 24. Because we are having 1.2 shares. He intends to sell the shares at the end of 7th year at an expected price of 900. That's great. 900 is the selling price, P7. Incidental expenses of the purchase and sale of shares are estimated to be 5% of market price. That means when you are purchasing the share, you are not paying 500, you are paying 500 into 1.05. You are paying 500 into 1.05, which is 525. And when you are selling the share at the end, you are not getting 900. You are getting 900 into 0.95. 900 into 0.95, which is 855. I hope you are okay. When we purchase, we pay brokerage. When we sell, the brokerage gets deducted. He expects a minimum return of 12%, discount rate, required return. Should Mr. A buy the share? If so, what maximum price should he pay for each share? Assume no tax on dividend and capital gain, as if we would have taken some dividend tax if the last line was not given. Anyways, so first part of the sum is, should we buy the share? Second is, what is the maximum price we should be ready to pay for it? So first part, we have to calculate NPV. So you already see what I have done. I did the calculation with you. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The dividend per share we are getting is 20, 20, 20. 4th year 24. I hope you're okay. 20 into 1.2. 24, 24. 5th year 24 plus 95% of 900. So this is 855 plus 24. What is it? 855 plus 24. 879. 879. 879. Now we have to find the discounting factors are given. They are not given, no issues. So either by using discounting factor or directly, I tend to use it directly. Present value at the rate of 12%. So we have to find out NPV at 12%. So you find out the present value of all these figures. Okay, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6 and C7. And then from the present value, you deduct 525. From the present value, deduct 525. So in that case, you will get the NPV. Okay. So please do the present value. First year 20, second year 20, third year 20, fourth year 24, fifth year 24, sixth year 24 and seventh year 879. You have to do the present value at the rate of 12%, and the C0, the initial cash flow, is 525, and you have to find out the NPV. So what is the NPV coming to? Is the NPV coming to, just one second, let me see what calculations are done by the institute. So the NPV is coming to 38.68. Okay, the figures are matching 20, 20, 20, 24, 24, 24 and 7th year 24 plus, oh sorry, I did a mistake because in the last year we are selling 1.2 shares. So this is this into 1.2. So in the last year we are getting 855 into 1.2 plus 24. 855 into 1.2 plus 24. 855 into 1.2 plus 24, which is 1050. 1050. Now you have to find out the NPV. Okay. Last year we are getting 1050 because we are having 1.2 shares. So the NPV is coming to 38 point something. Just check please whether it's coming or not. Okay, Institute's NPV is coming to 38 point something. The student sitting by my side is saying that the NPV is coming to 48 point something. So you will check it for yourself please. The NPV by the Institute is coming to 38.68. That means NPV is positive. So the stock should be purchased. Yes, we should purchase the share. And since the present value was 563, so we are ready to cuff out 563 today. But 563 includes 5% brokerage. So divided by 105, divided by 1.05. 563 by 1.05, what is it? 563 by 1.05, 536.19 we are ready to pay today. Are you understanding? The total, the present value total was 563. Okay, 563 is the intrinsic value, not the intrinsic value, sorry, intrinsic value including the brokerage. Okay, so I removed the brokerage 5%, so 563 divided by 105%, 536.19 is the maximum we are ready to pay for the share. Wonderful sum. Okay, nobody can say it's tough or hard. The point is that it can come in the exam. It came in the exam recently. Let's go to the next sum. So I'm going to the next sum. The next sum is question number 6. Multi-period DDM with transition. Let's have a look. The current EPS of V Limited is 4. Company has shown an extraordinary growth of 40% in earnings in the last few years. So we are not concerned with the growth of the past. We are concerned with growth of the future. We know E0 is 4. High growth rate, that is 40%, will continue for the next 5 years. After which growth in earnings will start declining from 40 to 10% during the next 5 years and remain stable at 10% thereafter. Are you understanding? 40 to 10, that is 30% fall in 5 years. Let's see whether the fall is linear. The decline in the growth rate during the 5-year transition will be equal and linear. So if it falls 30% in 5 years, so the fall per year is what? 6%. So what are the growth rates? The growth rates are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the growth rates are 40%, 40%, 40%, 40%, 40%. Then 40 minus 6, 34, minus 6, 28, minus 6, 22, minus 6, 16, and then what, 10. These are the growth rates. And what was the EPS? The EPS was 4. So we can easily grow the EPS now. What is 4 into 1.4? What is 4 into 1.4? It is 5.6. And what is 5.6 into 1.4? It is 7.84. And then I know you can calculate, please. Don't expect me to calculate all the growth rates. When you come to the 6th year, obviously you have to do into 1.34, then into 1.28, into 1.22. So you get the EPS forecast for the 10 years. EPS forecast. Next, we need the payout ratio. Currently, the company's payout ratio is 10%. It is likely to remain the same for the next 5 years. And from the beginning of the 6th year till the end of the 10th year, the payout ratio will linearly increase and stabilize at 50% at the end of 10th year. So 10 to 50 is what? 40% growth in payout ratio in 5 years. So the rate is 8%. So it's 10, 10, 10, 5 times. Payout ratio is 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 5 times. Then 18, then 26, then 32, then 18, 10 plus 8, 18, 18 plus 8, 26, 26 plus 8 is 34, sorry. This is 34, then 42, and then what? 50%. These are the payout ratios. You apply the payout ratio on the EPS, you get the DPS. So it's 10% of 56, 5.6 is 0.56. 10% of 7.84 is 0.784. So these are the forecasted dividend. Payout ratio applied on the earnings per share. Okay, is dividend per share. So very clean sum. Present value of the post-tax cost of capital is 17%. Okay. So the discount rate is 17% and the discounting factors are given. Whenever the discounting factors are given, you have to use them. Okay, so are you seeing the first dividend 0.56 will be multiplied by the first discounting factor 0.855 and we'll get the present value of dividend for the first year and so on till the 10th year. You are required to calculate the intrinsic value of the stock based on expected dividend. If the current market price of the stock is 125, suggest whether it's advisable to buy the stock or not. So you'll get the present value of dividend for the first 10 years, the table part. And then you know P10 is equal to D11 by RE minus G. P10. Okay, P10 is equal to D11 by RE minus G. In the table you will already have D10. So it's D10 into 1.1 divided by 0.17 minus 0.1. And then present value of P10. Present value of P10 will be P10 multiplied by the last discounting factor, which is 0.209. Okay, that will give us the present value of P10. So that's the horizon period. So you get the present value of the 10 years in the table and you get the present value of P10. And that total is the answer for the intrinsic value of the share. Compare with 125 and state whether the share is underpriced or overpriced. Let's look at the solution. Perfect growth, EPS, payout ratio, DPS. These are the dividend per share, present value factor. So present value of dividend. And the last dividend was 28.71. That into 1.1 by RE minus G into 0.209, the last factor. 94.29 plus 24.46. 118 should have been the intrinsic value. Whereas the price is 125. The share is overpriced. Should not buy. Okay, should not buy. We have done much difficult sums in class where the discount rate also changes. The beta changes. Okay. And we do sequential discounting. Look at the copy for better sums. Okay, perfect. Let's come to the next sum. Complex sum. Question number 7. Let's see what is there complex in this sum. Question number 7. You are interested in buying some equity stock of RK Limited. The company has 3 divisions operating in different industries. Division A captures 10% of industry sales. I had done a same sum on ITC. Okay. So Division A has 10% market share. The industry sales is 50 crore. So Division A sales is 5 crore. Division B has 30% market share. Division C has 2% market share and the sales of the industry 20 crore and 8.5 crores are given. So market share into industry sales is company sales. The net profit margins are given 5%, 8%, 10%. So you can get the net profit from division A, division B, division C, add the net profit. Total net profit divided by number of shares 3 lakh. You get the EPS. These are all forecast. Look at the language. Division A captures 10% of industry sales which is forecasted to be 50 crore. That means all these are forecast for the next year. So the EPS that we get is the EPS E1. So there was a mistake the institute conducted in the sum. We have got E1 EPS for the next year. Let's see what have they got. In case somebody is not understanding at all, industry sales into market share. This is what? Company sales. Common sense. And company sales multiplied by net profit margin gives us company's net profit for that division. Add the net profit of all the divisions, divide by number of shares, you get the EPS for the next year because industry sales was a forecast. So you get E1. So I'm checking out what E1 institute has computed. So here it is. Profit of industry A, profit of division B, profit of division C, divide by 3 lakh. 24.9 is EPS of the next year. Okay, EPS of the next year. Now this is what is called step marking. They'll give you marks in this, even if you do some mistake afterwards. Company has not paid dividend since it started its business 10 years ago. No track record of dividend. However, from market sources, you come to know that RK Limited will start paying dividend in 3 years' time. So D1 is 0, D2 is 0. And D3 will be 30% of earnings. Payout ratio 30%. Okay, so we already got E1. 24.9. So we can grow the E1 to E2 and E3. And we can get 30% of E3 as D3. Expecting this dividend, you would like to hold the stock for 5 years. Okay, so we'll get D3, D4, D5 and P5. Okay, D1 is 0, D2 is 0, D3, D4, D5 and P5. By analyzing the past financial statements, you have determined that RK Limited's required rate of return is 18%. The discount rate. P ratio of 10 for the next year and P ratio for 20 at the end of 5th year are appropriate. So P ratio of 10 for the next year, P ratio of 20 at the end of 5th year. Would you purchase RK Limited equity at this time based on your 1 year forecast? So in 1 year, we are only going to get the price, no dividend. And what is the price going to be? The price is going to be P ratio into EPS. Say 10 into 24.9, that is 249. So what will you pay today? 249 divided by 1. What was the discount rate? 1.18. 249 by 1.18 is 211. So we are ready to pay 211 based on a 1 year forecast. But what is the share price? What would you purchase the equity? What was the share price? 250. So the share price is 250, whereas the intrinsic value based on 1 year forecast is 211. The share should not be purchased. It's overpriced. Let's check the first answer. 24.9 into 10, 249, present value 210.9, 250 is overpriced, should not buy. Next, if you expect earnings to grow at 15% continuously, how much are you willing to pay for the stock of RK Limited? So they are saying earnings will grow at 15% continuously. Since they said continuously, that means the ending P ratio of 20 we can't use. They said na P ratio will be 20 at the end of 5th year. We can't use. We'll have to apply D6 by RE minus G to find out P5. D6 by RE minus G to find out P5. So see, we have E1. We can grow E1 at 15% to get what? E2. Then at 15% to get E3. That E3, 30% is D3 into 1.15 D4 into 1.15 D5 and then D6 by RE minus G is P5. That D3, D4, D5 will do the present value, okay, at the discount rate 18% to find out the intrinsic value of the share. Let's check. So the mistake the institute has done is that over here in the table, they have taken EPS as 28.64. This is wrong because EPS after 1 year was already forecasted to be 24.9. So this EPS is wrong. This should have been 24.9, then 28.64, then 32.93, okay, then 37.87, then 43.55, then nothing. These should have been the EPS, accordingly DPS, accordingly present value, and then D6 by RE minus G and so on. Okay, so this is the wrong solution. In the second part, EPS E1 is wrong. It should have been 24.9. Perfect. Let's come to the next sum. Question 13, dividend discount model. NML is aspiring to enter the capital market in 3 years' time. Okay, so it seems it's not a public company right now. The board wants to attain the target price of 70 for its shares at the end of 3 years. So it will come out with IPO at 70. Present value of the shares is 52.03 right now. Dividend is expected to grow at 15% for the next 3 years. NML uses dividend growth model. Required rate of return 15%. Quite a coincidence. The growth rate and the required rate of return are same. Are you seeing 15% growth rate, 15% RE? So the compounding and discounting cancels off. You are required to calculate the amount of dividend to be declared by the board in the base year so as to achieve the target price. Okay. So this is very easy. The current price 52.03 is equal to D1 by 1 plus RE plus D2 by 1 plus RE the whole square plus D3 by 1 plus RE the whole cube plus P3 divided by 1 plus RE the whole cube. Correct? So we have 52.03. Let the base year's dividend be X. So this is X into 1.15 growth rate divided by 1.15. This cancels. Second year, X into 1.15 square divided by 1.15 square. This cancels. Third year, X into 1.15 cube divided by 1.15 cube. This cancels. Plus 70 divided by 1.15 cube. So let me not solve it for you. Please, you can solve it yourself. We get 52.03 equal to 3x plus 70 by 1.15 cube. I am not solving it. You have to solve for x. Anybody can do it. Okay. So they were the sums on DDM. Okay. Here is where I will stop so that you can do the DDM sums at your level in a written manner or on the Calci. Because see, you have to drive the car to be successful. You can't expect me to drive the car through the exam and you're getting a 90 or 95 or 100. You have to drive the car. So this was DDM in this sheet. Thank you.